Hi, this is Gurasi Singh, and you're listening to my Thick Accent podcast. So, whenever we are going through a phase of adversity in our life, it's so difficult to stay positive or find the good in it. But every adversity, every failure, every heartache carries with it the seed of an equal or greater benefit. You just have to see it. And my guest today is the true believer of it, that if you actually join the dots, everything happened for a reason. So he came to Canada in 2019 to study at Algoma University and is now the first South Asian to be a part of Alumni Council of the university, and he also runs a non-profit called Student Connect. Let's hear more from him about his journey from connecting the dots to starting Student Connect. Please welcome Ash Lamba.
Hi, Gurus. Thank you. Thank you so much for the lovely introduction. Looking forward to the conversation.
Okay, so Ash, I always ask my guests to tell us what they were doing before they immigrated in their home country and what actually influenced their decision to move to Canada.
I immigrated in 2019, and before coming, I completed my graduation in 2017. Then I was working with KPMG as an audit consultant, and on this side, since 2014, I've been running a startup. That was my first startup. That was choreographies, doing wedding choreographies. It was a big thing back in India. It's still a big thing back in India. And then it went well. The college was going well. Everything went well. I did not have any plans as such to quit my job and come. At my job, I was just feeling that I'm not justifying my potential, because with the startup, I could just feel that I am much more into the startup. It's fun, it's exciting. You're not expecting what's happening the next day.
Mhm.
With the company, I was not really comfortable. I just felt I had to do something bigger, and I just thought I'll quit my job without any plans. Just one of my contracts of my choreography contracts, there was this guy who is an immigration consultant who runs an immigration consulting company back in India, and he said, "Why don't you try going abroad for your studies? It'll be a new experience for you because that's what you like."
Okay.
And I just applied randomly. I applied for the September intake. It was the month of February. I still remember. I had just quit my job. Um, just because he said I applied to just one university, that was Algoma, nowhere else, because I was just giving it a shot. It was nothing
Okay.
which I had to do, it was planned. So I applied for the September intake, and I don't know what happened. In just 2 days, I got an offer letter for the May intake.
Wow.
So some things happened. As I said, things are already decided. You're just walking the path. It was because there was one seat left. Somebody just withdrew last minute, and it was already April then. 15 days and the course was starting. I had to figure out the financing. I had to take a student loan, get my visa done. Things worked out. So I was here right before the orientation. Not even a day before the orientation, just few hours before the orientation. So I think certain things have to happen without any plan. So I'm a firm believer of going with the flow. Sometimes impulsive decisions are the best decisions of your life, and I think this impulsive decision which I made um, has been great so far.
That's a really fascinating journey to Canada, Ash. And I also want to ask what happened with that choreography business. Is that still on? Somebody else is working on that?
Never wanted to shut it down because I had built it till a certain level with a lot of hard work. And it was my first baby. It'll always remain my favorite, one of my favorites. Tried doing it from here, but it couldn't work. I think that probably if you're not there, I wasn't there physically, so I was not able to do it there. But the good part was
Mhm.
I started doing event direction and choreographies in Canada then.
Oh, wow.
That was my part time.
Mhm.
So when I was a student, I was doing this on the side. But then COVID hit, and the rest is history.
Okay. And so you are here on the day of your orientation that you mentioned. So I remember you also mentioned in our earlier conversation that you had your family here and also like some resources that might not be available to somebody who has just landed.
Mhm.
So how was your first day and what was going on in your mind then?
I think I was privileged. I'm still privileged, I feel. And probably because I knew back of my mind that I had somebody there to fall back on. Only then I had this option of making um, such an impulsive decision of moving just in a week
Hmm.
with nothing figured out. If I wouldn't have been this privileged, so thanks to them, I think the journey would have been much different. Finding a space, finding a place to stay,
Hmm.
figuring out the transit, figuring out what things to get from India. There's a lot to be done. A lot of planning is required to move to a different, uh, altogether different atmosphere, a different country. Right? You're uprooting yourself from a place of comfort suddenly to
Yeah.
somewhere where you know nothing, right? The
Hmm.
culture is different, a lot is different, right? So I probably had that back of my mind, that I have someone there, which I didn't realize then, but then eventually when I came here, I had someone waiting for me outside the airport. So that just that feeling of having somebody who's waiting for you and you don't have to figure out how to go and where to go. And when I reached home, I was treated with the same food, the dal chawal, which I used to have back home. So the two major things which make you homesick are relations when you don't have family around you, right? Friends, family, people to talk to, and the second thing is food. I genuinely feel if you get the same taste which you were getting at back home, you don't get homesick that fast, and it's not that bad. So I had both the things. I had family and had food.
Hmm.
So it wasn't my parents, but just any kind of family was uh, good enough at that point of time.
Yeah, absolutely. Finding a familiar face in a foreign land is like the closest piece of home one could get or ask for.
Yeah.
But did you used to cook back in India before you moved, or you never cooked, and have you like started cooking now?
India? Oh no, never. I had the privilege of ordering whatever I want whenever I want from Zomato, from Swiggy, the food delivery apps back in India. And it used to be simple, um, and not that expensive. So no, I never did any kind of cooking back home except Maggie, maybe.
Just like all of us.
Just like all of us, yes. So you had a lot of resources there, so why not to take use of them?
Yeah.
Here, yes, I cook my own food. I did try, like everybody goes through that phase of trying tiffin services which are here. I did not like that, so I did start cooking by myself. And yes, now I believe, you should ask this from my friends, but I believe I'm a good cook. I'm able to cook Indian,
Of course.
Italian, Chinese, French. Uh, yes, I can cook a lot of cuisines now. So, and I like doing it.
So when are you inviting me?
Whenever you want to come. But again, as I say, you should first ask my friends because what I cook, I always love it. I whatever I do, I love it. so, I'm not a good critic for myself. So, but anytime, yeah. I think it's very therapeutic for me to cook because I don't find it's a time waste. I get up every morning 5:30, and I have enough time to get to my work desk. That's like literally 9:30. So I spend good 1.5 hours just cooking my meals for the day. I just find it very therapeutic. Yeah, it's my time with just myself. So I like it.
I actually say the same to my family as well. Sometimes when they ask me, why don't you just order it? It's fine. Just concentrate on your work or anything. And I also say the same, that I find cooking therapeutic myself. I think for me, it's the cooking and cleaning both for some reason. Like I don't have the OCD. I'm not diagnosed with it, but I am little clean freak. So yes, the cooking and cleaning is like a therapy for me as well. So, Ash, this podcast is about breaking stereotypes. And I did read it somewhere that you had a situation where you were looking for accommodation for some of your friends, and certain stereotypes about the international students and especially men were acting as a hindrance for you. If you can share with us that story.
So you partially right, partially wrong. I'll correct you. It wasn't for my friends. It was for myself. It was my friends and me. So for the first 9 months, I was staying with my family.
Okay.
I did not want to, honestly, because there were a lot of restrictions. Not because they wanted to impose any restriction, it was just because I was the responsibility, right? So Yeah, I and nobody wants to stay with their family
Hmm.
at a certain point. I'm not talking about like parents, like someone else. You just want your own freedom, right? At some point of time.
Yeah, absolutely.
Sorry if they'll be listening to the podcast. I had nothing wrong to be. I don't mean anything wrong, but it's just that I wanted to stay by myself. So, but my uncle was like really sure that you cannot move out until you have like a decent job and you're done with your studies. So you don't have to concentrate on certain things. You have this resource, why not use it, right? And as I said, I'm quite thankful that I was having this option because most of us do not, right?
Absolutely.
So I had this option of being with my family for as long as I want to be, right? So that was for like 9 months. And then eventually I started searching for a space. I was still a student. I got a decent job. It wasn't a full time though, but it was fine. It was okay. Um, but as soon as I started going to Facebook Marketplace, finding places for myself and friends, the only thing I saw there, which I think is still prevalent, is that it said that no bachelors, no boys, and uh, yeah, no bachelors, no boys, no students. So these are the three things which were used, which were mentioned everywhere.
Hmm.
It was it was consistent in every post which I was going through, and where it was not mentioned, uh, the spaces which were there, I did not like them because they were like, no offense, but really dirty and really
Hmm.
shabby conditions. Places I don't think I could have stayed. Fortunately, I got a place
Hmm.
where I've been staying in since 2 years now. But that's also a story how I found that place. I had to literally lie to that person initially to meet her, fix an appointment with her, eventually meet her, uh, talk to her. After talking to her, I told her that whatever I said was a lie. I do not
Hmm.
have a family here. I'm moving with my friends, and still I had not figured out which friends I'll be moving in with. I did not even have friends. That also I figured out at a later stage because the rent was a little high, so I didn't know which friends will agree to it. But then it just worked out. I mean, I knew it'll work out. It'll take time, but honestly, the place I am in right now, it couldn't have been better. So I feel everything again, as I keep saying it, the same thing. Everything happens for a good reason.
Hmm.
Sometimes you have to go through certain experiences in life to even realize that what you've got is much better than what others don't have. So, because if you keep getting the best of everything, eventually you would,
Hmm.
I mean, you would never realize that you are coming from a place of privilege, or what you are getting is something which not everybody does. So, and that feeling of being blissful, I think that doesn't sink in. Like we, so that's also really important. So whatever I went through, finding an accommodation. I mean, there are so many much larger problems in people's lives than finding an accommodation. So it was fine. I mean, it was a stereotype, but it was fun. It was an experience. I still remember it, laugh on it like we are. So yeah.
Yeah, it said, all bad experiences become good stories. So this is, I think, one of those. So Ash, I also wanna, talk about how, men are just taught growing up certain things like, like men don't cry, or it's the task of the week, or be a man, and etc. etc. And I don't always like blame the parents, because I feel like parents are the product of their own time, and they just try to pass on what they were taught whole their life. But when I moved out, or when I started living on my own, I just noticed that there are certain things which are not serving me anymore, and I have to unlearn them, and it's time to relearn. So was there, how was it just for you growing up, and did you also happen to unlearn and relearn?
I love your questions. You're hitting the right nerve. Uh, things which I think things which most of us go through, right? These are the questions which you're asking, and um, I love the way you're asking those questions. uh, in a as decent way as possible. Yeah. Going going back to the question, times were much different when we were growing up,
Yeah.
versus when our parents were growing up. So versus when what I see, um, what I feel when I will have a family, how will I would want my kids to grow up, right? So things are just changing, right? Changing for the good, I must say. Um,
Hmm.
yes, back home, you had again stereotypes, right? Uh,
Yeah.
Certain things which are meant to be masculine and certain things which are meant to be feminine, right? Honestly, I come from a household where this was not discussed. Uh,
Okay.
I I still remember growing up. If I had to play, I mean, I love aesthetics, uh, which was supposed to be a feminine thing,
Hmm.
which a lot of people still believe the same way. I used to get those um, Lego blocks,
Yeah.
and I used to just people used to make. I mean, boys used to make cars and robots and spaceships. I used to just make houses, right? I used to just make different houses with those Lego blocks,
Yeah.
and then I used to literally. There used to be this. What do you say? This miniature dollhouse kind of a thing.
Yeah.
I loved collecting stuff, arranging rooms there and spaces there, which wasn't supposed to be a guy thing. I mean, I did like Hot
Hmm.
Wheels. I did have a Hot Wheel collection, but I did also like this. But never ever did my parents question it. Like, why this? If I said I like it, they would buy me that stuff. I still remember they bought me Lego blocks, and they used to, my mom used to literally click pictures of my different houses and then used to show it to her friends saying that, wow, look at him, how creative he is. So she always understood the creative blend of mine, right? There was nothing such as pink for girls and blue for boys. I mean, I have a younger sister, so, but that was just limited to the house, right? As soon as you step out of the house, you have, I mean, in your house, you're protected, you guarded, right? But
Hmm.
as soon as you step out, I mean, you go in the society, you go to your school, you go to your, uh, I mean, wherever you go, you'll find those stereotypes. I think they're still there. It's getting better, but yes, the stereotypes are they still exist, because we come from a patriarchal blend of mind, so it'll take time, right? Uh,
Hmm.
what I went through, I wasn't interested in sports. But just to let someone know that I've not played being in India, being a guy uh, in India and not played cricket. Oh my God, it's a big thing, right? How can you not play cricket? And I haven't. I have never played cricket in my life, and it was never a big deal for me. Probably because at home uh, I wasn't told that I had to do certain things certain way. Uh, and I love dancing. That's how I started my choreography thing. So a boy not doing physical education classes and literally going for dance classes when you have to choose between some and you go for dance, and not do the sport, you will be labeled. So throughout my school life, I was labeled to be this
Hmm.
timid, shy, timid kind of a guy who is not that macho, masculine as as someone should
Hmm.
be. But it did bother me a lot back then, um, and I did not share it with anybody. In fact, this is the first time I'm sharing it on a platform like this. But I am able to share it now because I overcame all that. So again, I could have taken it negatively, which I did initially in my life, right? I just thought to myself that it's not just me, and it's not the biggest problem in life, not knowing cricket. So get over it. And
Hmm.
I think I got over it with a very thick skin, and thank God for that. Anybody says anything to me now, uh, which I don't feel is relevant enough.
Hmm.
I can stand up for myself, and I have a thick skin that it doesn't bother me anymore. Right? Uh, I mean, I the same people who did not like me dancing, just in the family also, and um, my friends also, so-called friends, because um, they they started praising me when I started doing my wedding choreography thing, and it was working really well back home. I mean, they were sending me messages. And when I moved to Toronto, I they got to know that I'm running an organization which helps students settling in here. The same people have the guts to call me and ask me for advice, and I'm ready to help them because I think I made my point clear. Sometimes you don't have to speak things; they just don't have to. Yeah, eventually with time. Uh, what you become makes them realize what they did was wrong, and I don't blame anybody for that because that's how we were conditioned, right? So I did unlearn a lot of things, but the good part was I did it much earlier in my life.
Yeah.
um, it helps me, it has helped me now.
Actually, you mentioned about people labeling and all that. I think sometimes people say certain things because of their own insecurities and at the same time lack of exposure to the world. That there are all kinds of people in the world. And another thing I want to add is the feelings part. Growing up, we are told not to show your feelings or vulnerabilities to people. But then I learned that it's okay to feel emotions. For example, if I am feeling sorry, I'm just feeling. And no matter what the emotion is, whether it's happy, sad, angry, excited, creative, or whatever it is, these are just emotions and one should embrace it. In fact, it will benefit your relationships only.
Yeah, yeah, I completely agree. Feelings are feelings, they're not gender specific,
Exactly.
so to say. So yeah, why do you have to hide them? I mean, if it depends upon you. If you're comfortable uh, keeping your feelings to yourself, going to a room, expressing it just by yourself, that's a choice you make, and you're comfortable doing it. Go ahead. It doesn't mean that if you're a guy, you have to do it. It can be for this. It can be for any gender,
Yep.
right? Uh, um, and vice versa. If you feel sharing your feelings in a big group, go ahead. If you do it with a group of intimate
Hmm.
friends, go ahead. I mean, it's your life in the end. There's just one mantra everybody should live by, which people forget usually, is just be you and do you. I mean, it's a short life.
So Ash, now let's just pivot towards your Algoma University experience. So you are a board member of the
Mhm.
Alumni Council of the Algoma University, and
Yeah.
before you, no South Asian was on the council, even though 80% of the students were South Asian. So tell us, how was it, first of all, just studying at the university and then being on the Alumni Council?
So initially, I was quite apprehensive about. I mean, people made me apprehensive about joining the university. It's a newer space in Brampton downtown. They've just started a couple of years ago. They were not in GTA. So when I started my school, it was just 2 rooms. That was the whole campus, whereas all these colleges had big, crazy, huge campuses, Humber, Sheridan. I don't know. I just applied for your one university out of selfish reasons, not because I liked Algoma. Sorry, Algoma, but it was not because I knew nothing. Right? I was back home. Uh, I did apply for it because thinking that at least it's a university, right? That my ego is satisfied. That if somebody asks me, I'm not saying I'm going to a college, but a university. But that's all bullshit. Sorry for my language. That doesn't even matter, right? What matters is what you're studying, what you're gaining out of it. But at that point, I think I was conditioned in a way back back in India that if it's a university, it has to be better than a college. So I just did apply for my selfish reason. I got into it. I got into it in a program earlier than what it was anticipated. I came here. I was disappointed. I saw just two rooms. But then, as I say always, there are two perspectives. Either you get disappointed thinking what you've done, and I saw a lot of students come after coming here realizing they made a mistake and changing their colleges, right?
Yeah.
Uh, I thought, what could go wrong? If it's a small university, it means it is growing, and if it's growing, it's the best place to be because I am also here to grow. A college which already has thousands of students, will you be still recognized the way you will be recognized in a college which is just start in a university which has just started their presence here with probably 1,000 students?
Mm-hmm.
I thought that this is the best decision, and I can use it to develop some connections, my network, get recognized here, which will help me eventually. And that's what exactly happened. It was a small school. I was quite vocal. Um, so me being me, I knew all the teachers, all the professors. The professors knew me. I was able to interact with the staff, and then I saw that most of the students were South Asians, but I could just feel a lot of things which can be improved because I think I came from the same land where most of the students were from, but since they did not have, because they were pretty new, I thought, why not I start sharing my recommendations with the school, and they took it in a positive way, and
Mm-hmm.
the school also helped me in every way possible, from getting a job to start my choreography entrepreneurship experience here, to sharing contacts. I still remember my first choreography which I got here was
Mm-hmm.
for a daycare where I
Oh,
had to
interesting.
teach uh, kids dancing. They were like literally 4 or 5 year old, and I got it from my school. My school recommended me in a daycare, and it was such a wholesome experience going there, teaching kids, 5 year olds, cuties, teaching them how to dance and stuff. So all that happened because of my school, and then I told them that I told them that I can do dancing here. I did some events for the school. It all worked out really well. The only thing which I knew was that every person you meet in your life can help you somewhere where you never, when you don't even realize it, that person can be a resource for you. I'm not saying that I meet people only thinking that they will become a resource for me later, but uh, keep your connections alive, keep them active, because you never know who can help you when, right?
Mm-hmm.
Especially in a country like this, we working not on family recommendations but our own connections. Even after my course, when there was, for a very long time there was nothing happening because of COVID, but when there was an alumni meet, I was shocked because I just saw it was just me from my batch in the alumni meet. So I felt that there's a big gap as to why are not people being a part of the alumni meet. It's not just that the students are at fault, probably the university is doing something that they're not able to get those students, and then the students are also like really disinterested, because I feel what happens is, again, I was privileged, I had less things to worry about in my life because of my family. Some people just get into that the daily grind,
Mm-hmm.
earning money, paying off the fees, surviving, the survival mode. So they do not invest time in certain things.
Yeah.
uh, I had a different set of mind, right? Different mindset. So when I got an email saying that Algoma University is looking for alumni council members, I made sure I apply for it. And when I entered the first meeting, I could see no, not even Indian, no South Asians. And I did ask this question. I'm like, and it wasn't the university's fault per se, because they said that we do not see any participation. Like, it's not that we do not want somebody from the community.
Mm-hmm.
It's just that there's not enough participation. So I also told them that probably both are at fault, because there's something which is not hitting the students. I'm glad a lot of South Asian students are applying for the council now. Uh, so again, it was a wholesome experience. Me getting into the meetings, sharing my viewpoints, having my picture on the website. I mean, and then being invited for the
Mhm.
convocations for the latest batch, sharing my experience with them. And I think just by seeing one South Asian, there'll be much more participation coming in now, because you start feeling that there is somebody who's representing you, then why not you? I talk a lot.
I always like when guests come on the show and they talk because it will obviously give me a lot of content. But you are, Ash, I must say, a very wise man who actually found the good in the adversity, and here, adversity being the new university with just two rooms, which you don't expect when you move to study abroad. But you used it to your advantage and turned things around, and you are definitely setting an example for all the South Asians coming here to make things happen. So, Ash, let's talk about Student Connect now. So, in 2020, you started Student Connect as a passion project with a mission to help and empower the student community with their variety of needs. Tell us all about that.
So I did talk about a lot of my experiences before coming to the country, in the country, right? As we were talking before, it's all connected.
Hmm.
Student Connect was just born out of the same experiences which I was going through. Probably I could see, as I am using this word again and again, I could see that I am in a better position. But I
Hmm.
could see my friends struggling on certain things which were like just normal for me. My struggles were different, their struggles were different. Uh, so I thought that at the ground level, there are certain things which have to be taken care of.
Hmm.
And why should I not start working with it? Because working on it, um, as small an impact as possible, if I am able to make, I'll just be, before sleeping, I mean, I'll be content to bed. When I'm going back to bed, I'll be like, I have given back in some way.
Hmm.
Because people who held me, per se, I cannot hold them back because they've gone through that stage already, right? I can just pass it forward, right? So I got some help, I give it to somebody, then that person gives it to someone else, and the cycle keeps on going, right? The chain keeps on going. It should not stop.
Right.
So it was just under the same attitude. I thought, okay, let me just start it. Student Connect wasn't even born then. I just started helping people uh, in any way possible, getting an accommodation if I had resources, um, finding the best tiffin service, or helping them with just advice on my LinkedIn, talking to them, just talking to people, like literally just talking to people, uh, also helps them a lot. Sometimes I feel people call you not with their problems, even if you're not able to solve their problems. For example, somebody calls you asking, do you know some do you, are you aware of any accommodation which is available in this area? And I say, no, I'm really sorry, I won't be able to help you. But the conversation doesn't stop there. People here want to talk to you. We want to talk to each other because we are all, most of us are immigrants here, and most of us have left a lot of things back home, a lot of friends, family back home. So we are eager for those relationships to be made. So I sometimes feel, even if I'm not able to help that person, if you can just have a conversation, uh, that person, when disconnects the phone, should think uh, positive. That's my mindset. If you keep talking about the negative things, you can
Yep.
keep talking about them. And so is for the positives. What people forget. People think that you can keep doing, but you can also keep talking positive. You'll never be out of positive things around you. It's just the perspective. So it was just born out of this curiosity. And then when the Student Connect was just born out of this curiosity, and then I thought that maybe if I register it, give it a name, more people will be able to join the platform. Uh, so I registered it. A lot of people started joining the platform, some for help. And whoever I used to help, they used to be like, okay. can we help in a certain way? So it was just um,
Hmm.
we all helping each other, and that's what the name signifies, right? Student connect. We're just connecting people, the right people, right? Then it's up to them to help each other. So it's not that I am uh, one Samaritan who's helping everybody with all their needs. No, I cannot do that. I'm just connecting people, uh, and then they're helping each other, and it's self-sustainable.
Yeah.
You have certain resources which I do not. I have certain expertise which he does not. So if we pool in our resources, pool in our expertise, then we can overcome anything, right? So that's what Student Connect is doing. That's it.
And you are always looking for the team members to join you, right? So where they can connect with you?
The easiest way is Instagram. We're also on LinkedIn. Uh,
Hmm.
Drop us a DM. There's also a sign up form. Uh, Honestly speaking, DMs are easier. I am the only one who looks into the Instagrams. The form sign has become a little tedious for me to work on. But just to uh, just to let everybody know through the platform that we're making it. We're looking for some funding, and I'm sure we'll be able to get that in the next 6 months. We are making it more. How should I say it? Organized, because I think we're growing, and
Hmm.
we're getting more team members. We'll have funding. It'll be more organized, more clear. We are having a website which is coming up, uh, just to make the reach even easier, right? So all that is under it's work in progress, and but the best thing is to be connected with us on Instagram, so you get to know when things are happening. So they will happen in the next 6 months.
To all the listeners, I'll put the links to all the platforms in the show notes. Feel free to check that. So now, Ash, you have been invited to more than 25 events to speak on, and I'm sure the number is more by now. The last I checked was around 25. So obviously, we cannot talk about all of them. But what I've done is I've noted down some key takeaways, some quotes from some of them, which I would like to dissect with you. And I'm calling this next segment after a lot of thinking and mind mapping. I came up with the name, quote unquote, questioning the quotes.
Wow.
So let's start with one of your favorite quotes as per my research, which is "It all starts with a dream, and I dream big," which I believe you also mentioned in your speech that you gave at the convocation at Algoma University. Tell us about the speech as well and why it's your favorite quote.
Wow. You've done some good research. Yes.
I have good sources, you know.
I'm sure it wasn't that difficult to find this out, but yes, I have a lot of codes on a lot of platforms. Just to dissect and get the one which is my favorite is this. Yes. The quote which I heard somewhere was "It all starts with a dream." What I added to it was,
Hmm.
what I like doing is, if I hear a quote, I try to make my own version by doing something. So one of them is this. It said that it all starts with a dream. What I add was that I dream big.
Hmm.
I think I should modify it more now, because now I felt that I dream big and I work for it.
Okay.
So that's also very important. A lot of people dream, but while dreaming, we forget you have to work for it and you have to start somewhere. So I'll update my quote now. It's really important to have dreams.
Hmm.
We feel life is mundane, monotonous, the same grind day after day.
Hmm.
This is just a perspective. Um, and I've realized that our work is what we make our. So what happens is work is equal to life. That's what people do these days, right? Uh, just hustling to earn money and then not knowing where to spend that. Eventually, not initially,
Hmm.
eventually. I think your work is not your life. Just a really small, tiny dot in that, small, tiny dot in that life. There's so much more to experience. And to experience more, you have to dream, right? Once you start dreaming big, uh, and then taking steps towards it, you'll realize that that big dream eventually would be just a dream, and you would didn't even realize you've done it, you made it. Like, probably me getting an iPhone back home was a big dream when I was a kid, and I saw all my friends in college. I'm saying 2015, 2014, when I entered college, everybody had an iPhone. My father had told me that uh, I can't get you a phone which is like 80,000 rupees. I'm not getting it for you. I can't. We cannot afford it, right? For me, my dream was getting an iPhone. I started doing my startup, my choreography thing. I got an iPhone in 6 months, right? Again, not praising myself, but at that point of time, what people would think, come on, iPhone, it was a big thing for me.
Hmm.
Uh, and then I thought I should start traveling. Uh, how do people travel to different countries? I mean, who funds them, right? And I knew it so sure that nothing coming from my home. I do not want everything from my family. They've educated me to be self-sustainable, right? Even if I still find looking for ways to, I'm still uh, having this feeling that they should support me. Then what's the point of that education? They worked so hard on my education. They spent enough. It's my time to now work on my dreams and fulfill them.
Hmm.
I thought I should start traveling at least one country in a year. You won't even, and I'm not kidding. 6 months I was traveling to my first country. It went to two countries, and then it went to three countries in a year.
Hmm.
So, and then I was like, oh, was it like a big dream for me? Uh, uh, so they're really small things like this which help you build your confidence, thinking that now whatever you dream will happen. Um, and because so much has happened in my life, I'm talking about the positive things only, because the negative have shaped the positive also in certain ways, right? They were learnings which I had to get to keep stepping up. So I feel that what could go wrong? I mean, what's the harm of dreaming? And dreaming something which is big for you right now might not be that big after a year, 6 months, right? 2 years, 3 years. So keep dreaming.
Exactly.
And my uncle says, if you think of the stars, you land on the tree, right? If you just think of the tree, you'll land on the ground, you'll fall
Hmm.
on the ground. So have a big dream. Uh, and I just feel you can think of the stars and get to the stars. Nothing is stopping you. But even if that does not happen for whatever reason, at least you land on the tree. You still in a much better place than falling on the ground.
Exactly.
So that's all about the quote. And as I say, I can keep talking about it because it has worked for me. It can work for anybody. Trust me. You just have to have that thing going in you constantly that you will get it. Talking about the convocation, I was invited to talk about my experience. Thank God I was called to convocation because my own convocation did not happen due to COVID. So I was really excited. It was a surreal experience. I could share things with them which I feel helped me, like some learnings which helped me shape my life till now. If I can share that with somebody, and as I always say, if even one person can benefit out of what I'm saying, just one person, right? And just one learning from my experiences, my job is done. Because it's a chain, as I say. Somebody taught me something. Oh, I learned something from somebody,
Hmm.
and then I passed it on to somebody else, and it'll keep on going and growing, right? So that's how it is.
I love that. Let's all of us keep that chain going. So the next is I also saw that you created a poll a few months ago on LinkedIn, which was about asking people whether they believe in manifestation of miracles or miracles of manifestation. I want to ask you, what do you believe in? I'll repeat, it's manifestation of miracles or miracles of manifestation.
I believe in both. So, but I wanted people to understand there's a difference. So miracles do happen. Uh,
Hmm.
doesn't mean that I'm manifesting that I want to fly today and I'll fly tomorrow. Miracles, when I say miracles, it's in the same way when I say dream big, right? You keep manifesting those big dreams and you will carve your own path out.
Yeah.
Okay, and when you will, once you start achieving those smaller goals in your life, it won't be less than a miracle, right? Because as I say, for me, uh, just traveling was not less than a miracle, and just that path of getting there was also a miracle, right? So it goes hand in hand. It goes both ways. I still remember that I've grown up watching Indian cinema, the quintessential Bollywood movies, right?
Hmm.
Talking about just New York and London and those high streets. And I always thought, will I be able to go to a big city like this? And my mom used to say, these are all rich people problems, rich people things, right? Uh, it's not easy to go work in New York, have a Starbucks coffee mug in your hand. And I used to always visualize all those things. And today I feel like, uh, I remember that the first time I went to New York,
Hmm.
I started crying,
Hmm.
and it might not have been a big deal for millions, but for me, and I knew it will happen. So it's not that my dreams, I feel that they are just dreams. I know they'll happen one day.
Hmm.
But just going to New York mm, would sound so stupid to people. When I was crossing the border from on Niagara, um, I literally was by myself. I started crying tears of joy because I thought that thank God for whatever I am thinking of, I'm dreaming of in my life. It keeps on happening, and it's such a surreal um, feeling, wholesome feeling to see uh, those goals or those objectives, the dreams coming true. Um and you just feel you've done something right in your life, that this is happening to you, right?
Hmm.
So and then as I use this phrase, um, which says you'll be blissfully displeased, uh, which just means that
Hmm.
you should be blissful of your current situation, which means you should be thankful. You should have that gratitude. You should be
Yeah. Count your blessings.
count your
Yeah.
blessings, but that should not stop you from growing. So you always have to have that unsettling feeling, which helps you grow. So it is a balance of both. Happy where you are, but still looking to grow more.
Hmm.
And if you're able to strike that balance, you'll keep growing, right? So that's what I feel like is very important to maintain.
So the next one is network differently, like adopt a give get mentality.
One of my mentors, I have a lot of mentors in my life. One person who shares his experience with me and I learn from them, they become my mentors for life because they've helped me shape my personality. So she said that it's what do we usually do? Let's take an example of LinkedIn. We're looking for a job. The first message we send to people is, "Hi, so and so
Hmm.
gave me a reference. I'll be glad if you can accept my invitation because I'm looking for a job."
Yeah.
And you just uh, uh, and I used to do the same, right? So it wasn't that I was doing something different.
Hmm.
She said that this is a mentality which needs to be changed. First, you give, right? You ask the person, is there any way, this is my qualification, this is my experience, is there any way I can help you? You as a person, you start making that relation with that person, and you say it again. You talk to them again, saying that, is there any way I can help you? And then eventually, when you have that relation made, you ask for that help. Rather than not just in the first conversation, you ask people to help you with their job or whatever. So it's always a you always have to feel that you're in a giving position, and you always have something to give.
Hmm.
If you feel that you don't have anything to give, there's something wrong with you, because Every human has certain things which they can share with the other person, which will help the other person. Big or small, does not matter.
So the other one was don't get stuck on your back home story. Embrace Canada.
Back home, I had a lot of servants taking care of me. I was living a really comfortable life. I had my dad's car to drive, and I had my mom cooking meals for me. Then why did you come? I mean, you have to at some point of time stop thinking of what you had and start thinking of what you can have by doing that hard work,
Yeah.
right? It's so easy to keep complaining, as I say, but it's really important for you to understand that if you've come to this country, first be thankful. Millions of people are wanting to come here. I thank the country every day, right? And then work for all those things which you do not have it. You have this opportunity
Yeah.
to be there, be out there, and exploit your potentials and see what you can do just by yourself, right? Because if you are in this habit of complaining, you will be complaining anywhere in the world. Even if you will be living with
Mhm.
the richest people, you will still be having some problems with that. So it's not a problem with comfort, it's a problem with the mindset. So that needs to be uh, changed. And this gives me I don't know, I just get upset with this.
Yeah.
Like I rarely get upset with things but when people start complaining about things here and what how life is better back home, then just go home. Rather, let somebody else have this opportunity to be here. You're just using someone else's opportunity and still not being happy about it, then you're not fair to that other person, right?
Yeah. And I think the other mistake that international students do is talking about the comfort that they always want to stay within their own community, whichever the part of uh, community they have come from, right? And they don't really embrace Canada, like I mentioned earlier. And at the same time, this is the opportunity for you to get exposed to different cultures. Like when I was studying, I think I was the only Indian in my class, like the only South Asian, and I was exposed to like so many different cultures and languages, and I think I had a really fun time during my school. So now, Ash, we are in the final segment of the show. I call it the final MTA talk. So I'm going to ask a couple of questions. You can answer them in one word or a sentence or however you feel like. The idea is just to know more about you. So the first question is there something that you would like to change about yourself?
I think with time, you realize certain things which are not working for you and you would want to change them. At the moment,
Hmm.
I just feel I sometimes get too carried away. I just should be more focused on certain things, keeping certain things aside. So yeah, not everything can be achieved to perfection. Sometimes you just have to let it go and focus on the main goal.
Yeah, it is said that perfection is the enemy of the good, right?
Yeah, yeah, I agree to it. Yes,
Okay, so the next is what situations make you awkward and why?
a lot of situations make me awkward, uh, which literally just break the conversation for me. And one of them is that literally talking about any comment which is related to patriarchy, chauvinism,
Hmm.
uh,
Yeah.
which is not in the uh, which is not talking about equality, right? I really get put off. Literally, I can't tolerate people who are in any way sexist. Uh, Not my thing.
If you could be any animal, which one it would be and why?
Are humans also not kind of animals? So, am I, am I not good where I am? I can't think of any. I'm happy where I am. Thank God I am a human.
I'll move to the next question. So, Ash, who's your go to person when you feel stuck?
Depends upon the situation I'm stuck in. So with something emotional, I have someone. If
Hmm.
it's something to relate to my career advice, I have another person, right?
Hmm.
If it's related to me being stuck while traveling, so I have one person at my rescue. So I think it depends upon the situation. I just feel that I am blessed. I have a lot of go-to persons uh, who can help me or advise me in that. I think who can give me the best advice in that particular situation. So it's nothing like just one person.
Okay. If you had to eat one meal for the rest of your life, what would it be?
Honestly speaking, I'm not a foodie. So till the time I'm getting all the nutrients and I'm healthy and I'm able to work towards my goal, I'm okay with anything. Probably uh, no, actually not. It's very difficult for me to say one meal because I'm a person who gets bored so easily with things. I hate all that monotony in life. So but if it's just for survival, it can be
Yeah.
anything. Not picky. Yeah, that's not one of the things I would want to concentrate my energy on. Just anything. At least I'm alive. Yeah,
Yeah, that matters more. Okay.
yeah.
So if you can create one law that everyone has to follow, what would it be?
Stop complaining. Life will be much more beautiful.
100%. Okay, finally, describe Canada in one word or a sentence.
A land of opportunities. That's clear in my head. A land of opportunity and acceptance, I think. Canada has accepted me the way I want to be accepted. No judgment calls.
Okay, awesome. So, on that note, Ash, those are all my questions. Thank you for being on the show and adding value to my listeners. Hey, listener, thank you for making it to the end. I highly appreciate you listening the podcast. Subscribe to the podcast if you haven't as yet, and please share with your friends or anybody you think would like it. And like I always say, we encourage you to follow your heart, but also us on Instagram. The handle is mythicaccent. You can also leave us a review or write to us at hello@mythicaccent.com. So stay tuned and let's continue knowing each other beneath the accent.